to an episode of the Ball Hawks podcast here on Sunday. I don't even know what date it is. March 27th. I should probably know that. It's my wife's birthday tomorrow. I have not forgotten. I still have a few hours to make sure I remember.
Tell me you haven't worked in a week and a half without telling me you haven't worked in a week and a half.
Right. And just like the Oscars tonight, we are here to slap some football into you tonight. I'm sure most of you are watching us over the Oscars. All the crazy fun stuff has already happened. So you might as well come join us here, have some football talk. We're going to have a mailbag segment. So if you want to get some weird, wild questions, we tried enticing you on Twitter there. And I am joined here by my co-host, even though he's wearing swag from a different podcast. It's okay because they're really awesome people. Chris, what's happening today, man?
Hey man, what's going on? Just my mind is racing, obviously, from the I guess elephant in every single room and every single Twitter feed and Facebook stream and everything else. What did we just witness
Right.
at the Oscars?
I never watched the Oscars,
wow.
but I'll tell you what, I was tuned in for a good half hour there being like, please let Will Smith win Best Actor.
I've always tuned in because I've always been a bit of a I was a drama kid in high school, so I've always kind of tuned into the Oscars and try to watch the films and yada yada. And I've never seen anything like that before. Like, so for anyone that is living under a rock, Will Smith just smacked Chris Rock's words, not mine, just smacked the shit out of Chris Rock.
Literally.
Cover 4 with the guys are saying, hope you got the right gift. Happy early birthday to her. So hopefully you got a list of something nice.
See, that's an appropriate comment to make about somebody's wife, right?
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate that, So I don't even know what to say about it. Like, I mean, in a group conversation earlier,
I'll start. Will Smith did the right thing.
Yeah.
You stand up for you stand up for your family. You stand up for your wife. You stand up for your kids. You stand up for your parent. Like, I've said it in private. I just said it on Twitter as well. Say whatever the hell you want to say about me. I've got thick skin. I've played competitive sports my entire life. I've heard it all. So say whatever you want about me because I can take it. Don't talk about my wife or my kids. And like Will Smith said, keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth. It's plain and simple. And I'm sorry, but actually I'm not sorry, but people are saying, teaching your kids to hit people rather than using your words and what have you. But in that moment, in the heat of the moment, Will Smith saw red. His wife was offended. Chris Rock just made a joke at his wife's expense, saying she's going to be in G.I. Jane, which for anybody that doesn't know, Jada Pinkett Smith has alopecia. She's not rocking the bald head look out of choice. She's rocking that look because she lost her hair. It crossed the line. Will saw red and he did what he felt was the right thing in that moment. And I'd say all the credit to Will.
Yeah. Like obviously, I think the big difference in those things is neither one of us condones using physical violence to solve problems. Like I just don't. I think adults use their words to solve problems. I fully understand that.
And I have argued this before about fighting in hockey, right? You and I have gotten into this argument.
Yeah, and I do think adults should use their words to solve disputes and whatever. But like you said, it's a heat of the moment thing where, it's more than just a joke at somebody's expense. It's more than just a comedian making a tasteless joke. Like, it's a really tasteless joke. And although I don't condone violence, I completely understand where he's coming from. And I don't know how I would react in that situation if my wife was, having a hard time with a medical condition and somebody made a dig at them. And I just don't know how I'd act, but I don't necessarily think it would be my finest moment on earth, if that's the most political way I can say that. Although I disagree with, violence, I understand where he's coming from. And the kind of interesting thing too, everyone's talking about how Chris Rock took it like a champ, right? Which he did. Like, he didn't even kind of really miss a beat other than like a little bit of awkward silence. I think he realized I messed up and I just took one on the chin because I mean, he's also a lot smaller than Will Smith, and he would.
I don't think he realized it, because in the uncensored video that is now, starting to circulate online, Will says, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth." And Chris Rock fires back, "Dude, it was a G.I. Jane joke." And that's when Will fires back again, more angrily, like, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth." And that's when Chris Rock kind of, like, I think maybe the seriousness of it maybe hit him, like, okay, yeah, maybe I did make a mistake or what have you. I mean, obviously these guys are going to hash it out backstage, and Puff Daddy or Sean Combs, P. Diddy, whatever you want to call him, said, like, we're going to, work this out like family, at the after party, which they will. Yeah. But Chris, they're both going to apologize, because yes, they were both wrong. Like, Will hitting Chris was wrong. Chris making the joke was wrong. But in that moment, what husband wouldn't do the same thing for standing up for his wife?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. In happier news, we have a little bit of pride on this side of the border for the first time in 36 years.
Let's go! Canada soccer going to the world. Canada men's soccer. Sorry, I should add. Going to the World Cup for the first time in both mine and Steve's lifetime, which, I mean, I just fall under that category by a hair. The World Cup in 1986 ended at the end of June, and I was born at the end of August. So I missed Canada playing in the World Cup by 2 months of my lifetime. Not that I would have remembered it anyways. But Canada clinched their spot to Qatar 2022, making the World Cup for the first time in 36 years, which I was talking to my dad about it. My dad said, he's like, "I'm pretty sure this is only the second time in my lifetime that they've made it," which is super, super cool. I'm not a huge soccer guy, but watching that match today against Jamaica, and when the match ended, and just seeing all of the players' reactions and all the Canadian flags finally being used for a good cause and not some, BS freedom convoy, it brought tears to my eyes. Like, just watching these guys and everything that they've worked for, and all the years that they've put in to get to that point, to essentially make Canadian history, is just it's awesome. I love to see it. I can't wait to watch the World Cup. John Herdman, the coach of the Canadian men's team, is now the first coach in FIFA history to coach a men's national team and a women's national team to the World Cup, which is another, kind of fun fact.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know how much you love those, like, fun fact records. That
I do love fun facts. But no, I'm really excited, especially like my daughter is like, soccer is her game. That, like, she's obsessed with soccer. She, ever since watching the women's team win the gold medal at the Olympics last summer, like, my 7-year-old daughter's like, "I'm going to play in the Olympics. I'm going to play for Team Canada." So, like, that part of it too is just really, really cool for me, that, like, we now get to watch the World Cup, which is my daughter's favorite sport, and she gets to watch her country, the country that she was born in, compete for, I mean, the first time, really.
Yeah, it's so exciting, because, like, these young kids actually get to see people that grew up where they grew up, and they can say to themselves, this could happen for me, like
Yeah.
you and I are big hockey fans as well. And Canada kind of, is one of the top powerhouses of that. And then you see a country, that isn't, traditionally there. I remember, years ago when Germany was just kind of cracking Olympic rosters and world junior championships and what it meant to them, even though they would go there and just get blown out. It's the fact that they're there with the best of the best, and other German kids can now see, like, we could do that as well. And, it's across all sports, right? Those are just two examples, but it goes for any sport where, maybe a country doesn't necessarily represent that sport well. And then they get to kind of, the young kids get to see somebody that looks like them. I know, like, we're a football podcast. We have few Canadians that are in the NFL, but when they're in the NFL, it's kind of cool to see that and say, oh, that guy grew up where you grew up. He went to the school that you are attending right now. So that if you want it that bad, go for it.
Fun fact: I have one of those guys that went to my high school.
Oh,
yeah. The people in Philadelphia won't like hearing this name, but Danny Watkins went to my high school.
I did know that.
Yeah.
You could have been in the NFL, Chris.
I could have been if I was born with the size that Danny was blessed with.
Or you could just kick without throwing your hip out.
Also can't do that. No. Yeah. Although, maybe it's different kicking a football versus a soccer ball. Football versus football.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's, you know what? Just go try it tonight. Try it tonight.
Okay. Yeah. And when I go to physio next week and I'm like, oh, doc, my hip, it's bad. You go, what'd you do? I go, my buddy dared me to kick a football.
It was on the podcast. Okay. Last time he dared me to do something, I ran a 40-yard dash. Like, no. Give me a break.
I double dog dare you.
What are you, chicken? No one calls me Chicken McFly. No one.
Great. Whoa. Did we just make history? Did Steve just quote his first movie of all time?
Man, I quote tweeted your top 4 movie thing on Twitter today. I thought that would have gotten my first shout out, but yeah, look at me moving.
I was busy. Okay. Speaking of 40-yard dash, I guess I'm not really going to get a chance to beat Rich this year, am I?
I mean, not anytime soon. I mean, we could really delay it, but in terms of doing another annual one with the boys, there probably won't be a rematch of the drills you and Ryan did.
I mean, to be fair, we probably shouldn't run it on Mother's Day weekend this year. Here's my third fun fact of the podcast already. We're 13 minutes into this thing. I'm just full of fun facts tonight.
Fun facting.
Mother's Day is actually the same day as my wife's birthday this year. So yeah, we're not running it on Mother's Day weekend this year. I got away with it last year. I don't foresee me getting away with it on the double whammy year.
You might hurt your other hip if you decide to do that.
I might hurt something that is in between the hips.
My other leg.
Yeah. We were talking off air. It's not another leg, folks.
It's not another leg. You read between the lines, or read between the legs.
read between the hips.
So we are a football podcast, believe it or not. But before football, we are stupid idiots who just like talking stupid idiot things. So
hey, speak for yourself, stupid idiot.
Well, you are.
You just made the list.
I was talking about you, but I just included myself so you'd feel good. Great. That's what great friends do.
If it feels good, do it, even if you shouldn't.
Okay. There's this thing called free agency happening in the NFL right now, Chris, and it's
anything but free.
It's definitely anything but free. There's a lot of money getting thrown around. I think last year we talked about how it was the first offseason that big name quarterbacks had a legitimate chance to move around. And in the NFL, you just never really see that, right? Like you see veteran quarterbacks at the end of their career try to go elsewhere to win Super Bowls, a Brett Favre or whatever,
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's a great example of that. I really think he kickstarted this whole thing, but
Actually,
in the NFL, you don't really see a lot of this stuff. And last year, I thought was one of the wildest off seasons we've ever had in the NFL. And 2022 comes along and is like, hold my beer, 21. I got some things to show you. I have never seen marquee players getting moved around like they have in the last, 2 weeks?
Yeah. Like our last episode was the Russell Wilson got traded, and like, holy crap, a lot has happened since then.
Like that's the one full episode we could talk just about Russell Wilson. There is about 8 of these big marquee things that happened.
Yeah. Last year it was like, well, Russell Wilson might get traded and Aaron Rodgers might get traded, and then nothing happened. And then this year they're like, you guys thought you were missing out last year. Well, guess what? We got trades for you.
Well, let's start with some of the lower, I guess, less marquee moves. We'll kind of go over those in briefing. Matt Ryan goes to the Indianapolis Colts. While Carson Wentz was there, he went to the Washington Commanders. Wow, that's the first time I've said that on air. I'm actually kind of proud of myself right now that I hit that one. I thought I would have messed that one up.
It even sounded natural too. You must have written it down.
I don't have it written down. That's why I'm like genuinely surprised here.
Don't mess it up.
It's not staged. And then Marcus Mariota going to the Falcons. Out of the 3 of those kind of like lower tier moves, which one has the most impact for you? Or are they all like very bland?
I mean, they're all super, super bland, but I guess I'm going to say Matt Ryan to the Colts.
I think so. Just because they have a team around him, right?
Yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz is absolute dog poo. Marcus Mariota, he might be exciting in Atlanta. I don't know. Reconnecting. There we go. Words are hard tonight. Reconnecting with Arthur Smith from his Titans days. So maybe there's going to be a little bit there, but I mean, I don't know who he's gonna throw the ball to. Kyle Pitts is there. I mean, it's surprising the Falcons haven't been involved in like a Jarvis Landry or Odell Beckham Jr. Or, I mean, even some of the other guys that were already signed, like an Allen Robinson, Christian Kirk, like just something. Because like, it's not like the Calvin Ridley.
Well, I mean, I know why they didn't go for Christian Kirk, man. That dude got paid way too much money.
Yeah,
like, good for him. Players getting your money, good for you. But man, they overpaid for that.
Yeah. Christian Kirk got his contract out from the Jaguars. He's like, where do I sign?
I don't care who you are. Like, that's too much money to pass up.
I'm not even asking my agent. Let's sign on the dotted line. Let's go.
Yeah, his agent didn't even ask him.
Man, did that ever screw the entire wide receiver market, though?
Yes, it did.
Giving a guy who's never had 1,000 yards receiving that type of money is just absurd. But yeah, I think Matt Ryan with that offensive line, they have a lot of talent in Indy. I think, is T.Y. Hilton still there? I don't know, but he's got a strong run game in Jonathan Taylor Thomas. They've got Michael Pittman there. I
just feel like
Mo Alley Cox to play tight end. I think he's going into a better situation, and a lot of people are like clamoring for the Colts now to sign Julio.
Yeah. I mean, the Colts, they need to do something about their left tackle because Anthony Costanzo, I believe he retired. So as of right now, I don't know if they even have like a starting caliber left tackle, which is probably not the best thing when you're thinking about a non-mobile, older kind of quarterback. But this move kind of just reminds me of when Matt Ryan was in his youth, minus like the Roddy White, Julio Jones kind of connection. He had so much help. Yeah. Just on the wide receivers, like at tight end, like Tony Gonzalez was at the end of his career. He was still very capable, but we know Matt Ryan likes throwing to tight ends. Colts have good tight ends that, can, make separation, beat linebackers, beat safeties. I'm sure that's where they're going to go with it. He also had a strong running guy in Michael Turner way back in Burner Turner. And, like you said, JTT is probably the best running back maybe in football right now in terms of dual threat running back.
Absolutely.
So
and
it's a situation
age and wear and tear. Like JTT is for sure the best running back in football right now, and entering the prime of his career, right?
Totally. So a strong offensive line, strong running game, good safety blankets. Don't sleep on Michael Pittman either. I think he is uber talented, and you just might see them go wide receiver first round, and have that extra weapon for him, and that could be a real contender. Now, obviously, the big one that happened in the last little bit, the Houston Texans trading Deshaun Watson to the Cleveland Browns for a whole haul of picks. Good for them for recouping stuff for him. Before we get into Deshaun Watson, what do you think happens to Baker Mayfield? Does he stay or does he go?
The Browns have painted themselves into a corner here.
Oh, for sure.
Like, because not only did they trade for Deshaun Watson, but then they went and signed Jacoby Brissett. So it's like, okay, we've got Deshaun, we've got Brissett, and
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they signed Brissett to be the backup there. So now they have Baker, this third quarterback who has an $18 million cap hit this year because it's his fifth-year option. Yeah. And they're like, well, what do we do now? Like, you guys should have moved him before you acquired Deshaun. Like, you should have.
Because now you have no leverage with teams.
Zero leverage.
Zero leverage with teams. Like, other teams are going to look at you. Even if you're like quarterback needy, even if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're never going to trade him to the Steelers. But even if you're the Steelers, you are not looking at the Browns and saying, like, we're going to give you a haul for Baker.
No.
You're probably going to cut him before, like, we're going to give you more than, I don't know, a fourth round pick. Third round pick for him, maybe.
Especially after that astronomical, fully guaranteed Deshaun Watson contract, which is a disgusting contract. That first year just grosses me out. But anyways, that's a side note. Why would anybody offer to help out the Cleveland Browns? Oh, hey, we're going to give you a second round pick for Baker Mayfield. No, I wouldn't even give a seventh round pick for Baker Mayfield right now. Wait for the Browns to cut him because you know it's going to happen, just like it does with every other player. Although
the difference with that is you get control. Now, I don't know if he couldn't have a no movement clause or a no trade.
He's still on his rookie deal.
Right, because it would be his rookie deal. So he wouldn't have control over where he went. So the only leverage the Browns really have is the fact that you're going to go to certain teams. You're going to have to find the suitors because guess what? Well, you're never going to trade him in the AFC, so you're okay with that. But the AFC is loaded with quarterbacks right now. Where do you go? New York? Well, they're probably going to ride out Danny Dimes. Washington just went and got a guy that they're comfortable or they want to at least give a chance to. Philly's not dropping Hurts anytime soon. Going down the list, Detroit, they're not getting rid of.
They have enough money tied up in Jared Goff already.
In Goff, yeah. The Saints just grabbed Winston, which they were comfortable with him last year. So why wouldn't they be comfortable with him this year?
Maybe
Atlanta picked up their guy.
Maybe the Titans could make a move for him.
No, man, they're not going to hold on to Tannehill and Mayfield, and the Browns would have to trade him within the conference, which I don't see. Off chance Carolina moves on from Sam Darnold,
but again, they've already picked.
Chance.
But that Carolina's in the same position that Cleveland's in because Carolina's already picked up his fifth-year option. Right. So they've already got that money tied in.
I'm just thinking
tied up, right?
They're not a huge contender right now. So maybe you just evaluate two young quarterbacks to see what you have. The only other one I can actually think of is the Seahawks. Which I don't know enough about what their plans are, obviously, but like normally when you say, hey, there's a starting quarterback, a first overall pick of just 4 years ago, you'd have teams lined up for you. But now everybody has kind of done the QB carousel. They've picked up a guy that they wanted. And they're either set or it sounds like they're giving a guy a chance. Like maybe Atlanta picks him up as well, but if he goes there, Mariota's not the starter, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the problem with it is you've picked up somebody else where the guy that's coming in has to be the starter. Baker Mayfield is not going to do a Gardner Minshew and like play behind anyone. There's just no chance he does that. So like I just have no clue where he's going to go.
And the other thing that the Browns did that really painted themselves into that corner is the "we want an adult at quarterback" quote.
Way to
Like,
slander your asset.
Like, yeah. So like you've done nothing to build up this asset. You've done nothing to like increase value in this asset that you have. Who wants Baker Mayfield right now when he's owed $18 million? He's apparently not an adult. Yeah, I agree with the cover for the guys. Browns are going to have to release him, and he's going to get to pick where he goes. The Browns have no choice but to release him. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say they have no choice because I mean they are only paying Deshaun Watson $1 million this year.
Mhm.
I have seen reports that
Yeah.
maybe the Browns just hold on to Baker Mayfield, knowing that Deshaun's going to get suspended, and have Baker start. Well, Deshaun's suspended.
Please, please, please. Can that be something that legitimately happens in the NFL where the Cleveland Browns walk up to Baker Mayfield in his, big alpha personality and they say to him, "Hey, we want you to play while you're, the adult in the room is being suspended."
Right?
Please let that be something that happens in the NFL.
Yeah.
I will lose my damn mind.
Please be our lame duck quarterback. As for the Seahawks, I'm not anti-Baker. I wouldn't hate seeing him in a Seahawks uniform. I mean, I'm not anti-Drew Lock either. If the Seahawks want to roll with Drew Lock this year, sure, whatever. I don't care. Right. But my biggest thing with Baker is I don't want to see Seattle trade for him. I don't want to see Seattle paying him $18 million this upcoming season. Right. I don't want to see Seattle giving up draft capital to acquire him. Just be patient.
Be like, hey, come play for us. Come play for the your starter, maybe on a $10 million deal or an 1 year, $10 million deal. Let's see what we have in you. How do you play with DK? How do you play with Lockett? How do you fit with a run heavy? I mean, we know he fits well with a run heavy approach, obviously. I think Baker would be a great fit for Seattle.
I agree with you.
Like, I don't think he's the most talented quarterback in the world. That obviously got exposed pretty quickly, but I love his attitude. I love the attitude that, like, when you think about it, he didn't do anything wrong. Like he's been the guy that said, I want to bring Cleveland back to legitimacy. Like when he went there, there was not a lot to play with.
He embraced Cleveland.
Him and Jarvis Landry were the reasons why Cleveland has this attitude of like, we are in the NFL to stay and we are contenders because nobody's going to mess with us.
Yep. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I agree. I think he would be a good fit in Seattle. I think he would, do really well with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I mean, strong run game. I just don't want to see Seattle give up assets to acquire him. Play the patient game, and if and when he gets released, if you want to make a play on him, sure. But I don't want to see them make a play on him before that happens. I just. You and I have talked about this. Why tie up $18 million in a quarterback when you just traded the guy that left a $26 million dead cap hit?
Right.
Yeah,
that's a lot to bring on.
Right.
So I don't know how much we should get into Deshaun Watson here because the biggest thing with Deshaun Watson is going to be like, does he play? Or not does he play? How many games does he play next year will be the big question leading up to what's his impact on this team going to be. My biggest thing with the Browns is when you think about, we've all seen the jersey of the Browns where it's got however 20, 30 quarterback names and Mayfield's now on that list. Trying to search for their guy is kind of the joke behind that one. Let's think about what they have invested in quarterback right now. You gave up a first overall pick that you're essentially going to trade or let go of. You gave up 3 first-round picks. So now we're looking at 4 first-round picks are invested in Deshaun Watson, essentially, a third and a fourth-round pick. You have 7 premium picks. One of the premium picks is the best pick you can get in all of drafting. And I'm including that because you spent an asset for Baker Mayfield when you could have had anybody else. And moving that quickly on from a first overall pick or even a second overall pick, like, you know, when the Lions are getting rid of Jared Goff, who was a first overall pick, when the Philadelphia Eagles are getting rid of Carson Wentz, who's a second overall pick, like, you have to factor that into the cost of what you currently have at quarterback. And yeah, the Cleveland Browns have now spent 4 first round picks, a third and a fourth, for a guy who's still dealing with legal issues. And you guaranteed him, what was it, $230 million?
Something
I don't know
outrageous like that. Yeah.
I don't know the trade or the contract details off the top of my head, but you have spent a ton of assets looking for that guy. And normally I'm somebody who would say, like, if you don't have a quarterback, do anything you can to get your guy. Like, you need to get your guy to build around, and that can kind of change your franchise. But if you're paying Myles Garrett that much money, when you are paying Amari Cooper, what is his cap? Was it $20 million?
I think so.
Something like that. When you're paying Deshaun Watson, not this year, but you're going to be paying Deshaun Watson next year, and you're going to be paying other superstars on the team. Like, you're going to be so top heavy in contracts that you are going to be begging for restructures. You are going to be, cutting some of these high profile guys to fit a Deshaun Watson in under the cap. Look at what just happened. We're going to get to it really shortly here, but look what just happened in Kansas City. They could not. I was listening to a couple podcasts that said they could not make Tyreek Hill's contract work. Tyreek Hill, outside of Patrick Mahomes, is that team. And we're going to find out real damn quick whether it's Mahomes made Tyreek or did Tyreek make most of what Mahomes is. It's going to be really interesting for that. They literally couldn't pay him.
The first year of the Mahomes monster contract,
and he's not even making that much, is he?
I think it's like 35 is his cap hit this year. And
okay, so that's not unreasonable. Like, in terms of like quarterback,
in terms of quarterback money, yeah. And they have to ship their Cheetah out of town. Like, sorry, Cheetah, we're sending you to the vet, and you're not coming home.
And I just want to say, like, a little side note with that. There's going to be something unbearable that happens in the NFL this year. Juju is going to be at games with Jackson Mahomes making TikToks.
No, Jackson Mahomes got banned by his brother. Remember?
Did he?
Well, there's rumors of that. Yeah.
Did he? They're going to be the best of friends that ever were doing their stupid little TikToks, and I hope.
However, as soon as they signed Juju, Jackson Mahomes was like, "We got to collab on TikTok," and it's just like, barf.
Play the game. Let your brother.
But then, did you see Juju already released his first Kansas City Chiefs TikTok in his new jersey? The funniest tweet I saw was it was like the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill. They signed Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and the equipment manager is standing there like,
I don't know what to do. There's so many letters going on here.
The equipment manager is not happy right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't have to get too much into Deshaun Watson. We got to do some wide receiver stuff here. We still got our teams to talk about. So obviously Tyreek Hill is going to the Miami Dolphins. So that's just so interesting. Like, that is such a prove it for Tua move if I've ever seen one.
I was just going to say, for me, this is the Miami Dolphins sitting Tua down and saying, put up or shut up.
Yeah. Because it wasn't just Tyreek.
No.
It wasn't just Tyreek. They went and got
Teron Armstead.
They got Teron Armstead
Which
in terms of being one of their tackles, and they also got why am I drawing a blank?
they signed Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert.
Right. So they signed two guys who are or could be starting caliber running backs who are just ridiculously fast, catch out of the backfield. Like they're surrounding Tua with as many weapons as they can possibly fit under the cap. And if he can't throw for like 4,000 yards, Cedric, guys from Cover are on this, and Ceddy Wilson.
That offense is ridiculous. It's like Jalen Waddle, Davante Parker, Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson, Mike Gesicki, Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, like
and Tua, man, like, offensive line,
right? So, do they move Teron Armstead? Do you think to right tackle because Tua's a lefty?
That's an interesting one. I'm just trying to think of who they have as their other tackle. I think there's a whole thing about like, do you protect their blind side or do you just let the guy play in his natural position? Because guess what? You can line up a guy on the left side. You can line a guy up on the right side. You could have two guys out there. So I think in the old school kind of way of thinking of how do you protect your quarterback? Well, you have to have a franchise left tackle because you got to protect their blind side. But that was when most teams had one huge edge rusher and you just tried to nullify them, right?
Yeah.
The O-line is still bad, though. I don't know if I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I'm thinking it's probably Marquise on the team's account there. I don't think their offensive line is as bad as maybe what everybody's suggesting they have. They have Robert Hunt, who is pretty damn athletic. It is Marquise, man. Robert Hunt is pretty athletic. If you were watching the Miami Baltimore game last year, he's the offensive lineman that picked the ball up and basically did like a backflip into the end zone that came it came back for a touchdown, but they have that piece there. I told Chris this off air. I haven't really slept much since yesterday. Our new puppy kept me up most of the night. I'm drawing a blank on who their other guys are, so I'm just gonna look it up really quickly. If you want to add something in there, Chris.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like Marquis said, speed wise, like it's gonna be an absolute track meet playing against the Dolphins right now. Like Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, like Jalen Waddle, Davante Parker. Like, who do you stop, and how do you stop them with all that speed? Like
that's the tough part, right? Is like the Bengals kind of showed people that with speed and weapons, you can get away with patchwork offensive line. It came back to bite them, but so I just looked it up. So they have Robert Hunt at right guard. They have Austin Jackson, who they picked in the first round 2 years ago. They have Liam Eichenberg, who is, I think he's a natural center sometimes, or sorry, natural tackle. Probably gets pushed into guard potentially. They picked him up last year. I don't think their offensive line is horrible. I won't say it's top to bottom with studs, but you have two tackles. You kind of have bookend tackles, and you've got some good pieces on the interior. And who knows, they might go and get something else in the draft this year to supplement that, since they are loaded everywhere else.
Yeah. And I just want to say, Marquise, we appreciate you staying up late to join us. I know it's just past midnight down in, I think you're down in Florida. So we appreciate it, buddy.
The other trade that we kind of have to talk about, Davante Adams chose to go and play with his buddy from Fresno State, Derek Carr, over the two-time reigning greasy-haired Rodgers.
POS Rodgers.
If that doesn't tell you something, that like Davante Adams wanted out and he chose Derek Carr, that is that's saying something, man. And the Raiders, like, I just have to say, all of these moves I really hate, because the AFC as freaking loaded right now. Like all of the teams, we're going to get into like who you think won free agency so far. All the teams basically are AFC teams. The NFC is like, hey, we're on a rebuild kind of year or couple years over in this conference. So, um, yeah, I don't like this move, but if I'm a Raiders fan, I absolutely love this move. I love pairing Davante Adams with Darren Waller. I know Hunter Renfro's there. Hunter Renfro's gonna, blossom even more than he already did. A good running game with Josh Jacobs. That team's gonna be scary, 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 scary good with Davante Adams. Holy.
I mean, is it that he chose the rate? Like, did he choose the Raiders, or did he tell the Packers like, "Hey, I'm not playing on the franchise tag. Like, figure it out. I want 30 mil a year, so
Yeah.
pay me or trade me." I don't know. I mean, I do like how all last year was like, Davante's going to sign with the Raiders. He's going to sign with the Raiders. He wants to play with Derek Carr, and then he, end of the day gets traded there. I love it.
A lot of smoke screens from last year came to fruition this year. Hey,
Totally.
Russell Wilson's going to get traded. No, he's not. Where there's smoke, there's fire, Chris says, but not last year. It's all for this year.
The Broncos weren't even on the list, man.
It was all about the Bears.
They weren't even one of the 4 teams. I don't understand.
How did this even happen, man?
Dave's not here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think Davante is like, I mean, Derek Carr, this is a guy that was in the MVP picture 3 years ago. So, again, this is the Raiders turn into Derek Carr, like the Dolphins are with Tua, and saying, "Hey, man, put up or shut up." Right? We're giving you the weapons. You've got Davante, you've got Darren Waller, you've got Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs in the backfield. Like, the Raiders adding Davante is just helping that entire team. Like,
yeah,
like everyone else is now going to be. My wife just made popcorn. I can smell it now. She said to me, she's like, "Are you going to hate it if I make popcorn while you're downstairs podcasting?" I was like, no, it's fine. But now that I can smell it, yeah, I hate her kind of a little bit.
At least bring them down, right?
I'm going to text her and be like, "What the hell? Where's mine?
Leave it at the door for me."
Yeah. Just interrupt like the kids do. It's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Davante is going to absolutely, like, I mean, that AFC West, though, oh my.
It's going to be fun to watch, man.
So much fun. Like,
really fun to watch.
Russell Wilson could end up being last in that division.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go to Denver, and then all of a sudden Denver's like, or the rest of the AFC West is like, okay, well, we're going to bring in Khalil Mack and Chandler Jones and Davante Adams, and like
it's going to be, it's going to be a lot of fun. And you can legitimately look at any of those teams and say that team's going to be first in the division. And you can look at any of those teams and say that team's going to be last in the division. And you can't call any of them crazy. They're not like any sort of like wild takes. So let's, I don't know if it's too early, but let's say so far, what team do you think are the winners of free agency? We've talked about the Dolphins. We've talked about, I can add some other ones in there. The Jags went on a big spending spree. The Bengals went and got some pieces. The Bills added a couple big names. The Chargers added some big moves. Is there one team that you think kind of won free agency, and why?
Not the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They paid a lot of money to mediocre dudes.
They're just that typical, like, hey, we're a bad team with a lot of cap space, so let's give out really bad contracts to mediocre players.
Yeah.
Just continue being this really bad team. Right? Like, they didn't do anything to improve. I'm gonna say the Chargers is my guess. First of all, this is our first time podcasting since I declared that the Chargers would sign JC Jackson. I was right about something.
You did call that one.
I did it. They brought in JC Jackson. They traded for Khalil Mack. They signed Sebastian Joseph Day. They signed Gerald Everett. They brought back one of their own and wide receiver Mike Williams. Like, they they did a lot of moves to help just fill a lot of holes, improve their roster. Like, could you like going up against Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack all season? No, thank you. Trying to stop Gerald Everett, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen? No, thank you. J.C. Jackson. I can't think of the other DB. They just drafted him last year. Something Jr. Asante Samuel Jr.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Asante Samuel Jr. and Derwin James. Like that defense is ridiculous. They're doing everything while their quarterback's still on his rookie contract, right? Like they're being very, very smart with the money that they have to load up around this rookie quarterback, their rookie contract quarterback that they still have, to make a run at this thing. And I mean, looking at the rosters right now in the AFC West, I would say the Chargers is easily the most improved, and they weren't far out of it last year.
Yeah, they were a dangerous team last year. Like,
absolutely.
I think that's what, when I look at teams that make big moves in free agency, you know, there's every once in a while you're going to get a New England Patriots where they spent a ton of money last year, and it actually turned their franchise around a little bit. Like, they were competing for playoff spots when everybody kind of had them down and out. So I was actually going to pick the Chargers, but since I gave you first go, I'll shift gears, and I'm actually going to give credit to the Cincinnati Bengals. If we're talking about a team that's right there, I mean, they're in the damn Super Bowl. They almost won the whole thing. Big questions around their offensive line. They go out and they get Ted Karras, Alex Kappa. Probably not big names that people, you know, have heard a ton about. They already had Jonah Williams and Jackson Carman. And then they went and got La'el Collins. I can never say his name right. And now it looks like they have like a solidified offensive line. They lost CJ Uzama, which our buddy Liam was, I talked with him kind of in the off season before this all happened, saying like, I really think they should re-sign him, but they lose him. They go and sign former first round pick of the Baltimore Ravens, Hayden Hurst. So
okay, I was going to ask if they brought in a tight end to replace Uzama. So,
and when you look at these deals, like they brought in La'el Collins on a 3-year, $30 million deal. You're going to pay a tackle $10 million only. I just think there was some good value in what they did. Obviously, they used the franchise tag on Jesse Bates, which was another big one. They couldn't afford to lose him because
totally
he was just so good in that back end. And now it's kind of looking like they might have a complete team, which it doesn't look good for the Ravens, but sometimes you just have to give credit where credit is due. They assess their weaknesses. They still have a ton of those guys on their entry-level contracts. So what do? They go and spend it when they need to spend it for their competitive window. Like the Jaguars giving out all that money, I just don't understand it. Why in the hell are we giving out money when you aren't even close to, competing in there? And so Marquise just said he picks Tampa. As much as it pains me to say, Tom Brady returning has a huge domino effect for signing 3 key players in Chris Godwin, Ryan Jensen, and Carlton Davis. I also agree he would have left to go to the Bengals or somewhere else. Anytime you get the greatest player, re-signing with your team, that's got to be a huge move. I agree there. It can't be understated what Tom coming back to that team does for them.
And I think you brought up a lot of good points as well, Steve. I think the Bengals did a great job in free agency, shoring up that offensive line. And I mean, what cost them the Super Bowl? Not being able to protect Joe Burrow for that extra, like, I'm going to call it even like 1 second. If they could have protected Joe Burrow for 1 extra second, he would have seen Jamar Chase wide open, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's as much as I don't want to say that, as much as I want to say they're making stupid moves, like you address your weaknesses. I don't know if they necessarily, I can't remember what the other 2 linemen signed for, but they have a ton of cap space. that's the time to overpay for guys to shore things up, is when everyone else is on rookie deals. I'm sure they can either cut, replace them. They still have draft picks, so you could start drafting their replacements right now, and you kind of continue that cheap entry rookie level deal contracts when your other guys are making the big mega bucks, instead of, oh, we have a wide receiver that's never had 1,000 yards, like you said, making close to $20 million. That just doesn't fly for competitive window.
So really quick, just to before we move on here, to touch base on Marquise talking about Tom Brady going back to Tampa. Any truth to the rumors that he goes to Miami?
That Tom goes there?
Yeah.
I haven't even heard that rumor.
There's trade rumors of touchdown Tom taking his talents to South Beach.
Imagine that.
Could you imagine? Like,
if that happens, they have to be the instant Super Bowl favorites. Like,
my head will explode.
And can we just not have that happen? Like, didn't
bring it on
already do enough?
Team Chaos, bring it on.
Yeah. Well, it's all fun and games until it all happens in your conference.
I was gonna say, I cheer for the NFC, so Team Chaos, bring it on.
Yeah, as long as it's bringing my team over, good for it.
Well, because I mean, that's who Stephen Ross wanted, right? Like, this whole ordeal.
Them up for how many decades? Like, you got to know him pretty well by now.
Yeah, this whole thing in Miami with Flores and Stephen Ross and paying for losses and trying to woo quarterbacks by bringing them on the yacht and yada yada yada. That quarterback was, from everything that I've read and seen, is Tom Brady. I mean, Tampa was ready to move on. I mean, I know Arians has said we're not going to trade him because that's bad business, but I don't know. Like, I mean, you almost have to go with, like, if you have the chance to move on and get a haul of picks for him and roll with, Kyle Trask, or maybe you get Tua in that deal, which I imagine you probably would get Tua in that transaction. I almost say roll the dice and go for it, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think it might even be, well, you know what? Tampa's in their competitive window right now. You gotta try, if Tom's coming back for that, you gotta try and win with him there, because you're not going to get a better deal than getting Tom Brady to win you a championship on a team that has proven that they can win a championship. So let's jump to the Seahawks right now for a little bit of free agency news, or just news around the team. Maybe you can, instead of doing like a huge mailbag at the end, maybe you can answer Nate's question in there too.
Yeah, I mean, as far as free agency news, nothing too crazy. I mean, Seattle brought Rashad Penny back on a 1-year deal. And to answer Nate's question, which Steve, makes something up as I pull up Nate's Twitter here.
It's Nate in the air.
At Nate_in_the_air. Yeah. So to answer Nate's question, yes, I do think Seattle moves on from Chris Carson.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Chris Carson's going to be able to come back, right? Like,
because this is injured.
Yeah. Well, this is it's a neck injury. We saw a neck injury take Cam Chancellor out. We saw, I think it was a head neck injury that took Cliff Averill out. So do we even know if Chris Carson's going to come back from this injury? I think that's a big question, but I do think Seattle moves on from him. He's going to be probably if they were to cut him today, it's like a $3 million savings. But if they were to wait till post June 1, it's like it saves them an extra $1.6 million, I think. So
sorry to cut you off there. I believe there's something in the CBA that says a team can release a guy right now with a post June 1st designation, which gives the player, like, it gives the club the option to save that extra money and it gives the player a better fighting chance of landing with a team earlier on in the process. So I do like that part of it.
Yeah, so Seattle's already done that with Carlos Dunlap. So Carlos Dunlap has been released, but it's a post June 1
I always appreciate
transaction
when teams do that, even if it's to save themselves money. I just like how that's in part of the CBA, because these are guys too that need a job next year. Like they need to land with a team, and it gives them the best possible chance.
Yeah. I mean, a couple other guys staying. Sidney Jones, I like that re-signing. Again, it was a 1 year kind of prove it deal. Rashad Penny got a 1 year prove it deal. Will Disley got brought back on. A lot of people are pissed off about this contract. He got I remember it was a 3 year deal, and I want to say like $8 million per year. But really, it's it's like a 2 year deal, and it's like $6 million per year. Like there's the out is after 2 years sort of thing.
Yeah, because I was one of those people. I was like, what are they doing paying Will Disley $8 million a year? Like, give me a break.
Because he's Will freaking Disley, and he's amazing.
He looks like you. That's the only thing you're defending.
The biggest guy they brought back, of course, was Quandre Diggs. Quandre got paid, thank God. That's a guy that they needed to bring back. So I'm happy about that. They lost a couple guys. They lost DJ Reed. I'm a little indifferent.
You liked him.
I did. Yes. No, I'm not saying I didn't like him. I'm just, I don't know. Maybe as I get older and wiser, like I'm like, yeah, it's a business. Like you can't bring everybody back. And I'd rather see them, I guess, bring back. I really like Sidney Jones. DJ Reed is a little bit smaller. I think he's like 5'10". So after seeing the Pete way of having these taller, longer, lankier DBs, that's just kind of what I'm used to and what I prefer. So seeing them bring back Sidney Jones over DJ Reed, I'm okay with that, especially dollar wise, it made sense.
And they already have a smaller corner in
Trey Brown.
Trey Brown. I was trying to remember what out of Cal. So yeah, I mean it's okay
Oklahoma.
to have. Is he an Oklahoma guy?
Trey Brown's out of Oklahoma. Yeah.
Anyways, like it's okay to have a small corner, but you can't have a whole team of small corners, right? Like you
exactly
bigger guys.
Yeah.
And I know you're pretty high on him.
But that's enough on free agency. I'm done talking about free agency. Mm-hmm. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. The thing I really want to talk about with my Seattle Seahawks, Russell Wilson got traded. You know what? It is what it is.
Bring on the chaos.
It's business. It's business. There's been a lot of division and in-house fighting on Seahawks Twitter over the whole Russell Wilson thing. I've been doing my best to not take part of it, but then Russ tweets the other day of like, you all doubted me, and now I'm back or whatever. Like
I saw that.
Whatever, Russ. Nobody said that.
I was like, where? Please, Russ. Yeah. Who?
The only thing that maybe like could come up from that is like we were all like, yeah, you came back too early from your finger injury, which like I think it's probably factual. But anyways, so there's now rumors, and actually, Steve, I have sources now. Can you believe it?
Sure.
My sources are telling me that apparently DK Metcalf could be available, is available. Supposedly the Seahawks were actually calling teams.
They were shopping them.
They were shopping DK Metcalf. They weren't just like taking calls on DK Metcalf. They were the ones reaching out to other teams.
Wow.
About DK Metcalf. From what my sources tell me anyways.
Now, okay, for me, that's like a wow move because one, if you get rid of Russ and you get rid of DK, just strip the whole damn team down. Like, get rid of Pete Carroll. You've got to rebuild this thing. 70-year-old Pete Carroll ain't staying around for a rebuild with those guys around. This actually, after I said wow, I was like, hold on a second. This kind of makes sense. When you see what the Packers got for Davante Adams, and you see what the Chiefs got for Tyreek Hill. I don't know if there's any player on my team that is untouchable with that many picks. That many picks to replace one guy when you are in a rebuild anyways. I wouldn't trade him unless the offer is there. I can see why once maybe they saw what other teams were getting for star wideouts, and they're like, hey, our guy's on an entry level contract and he's way younger. What's he worth to you guys? I could see them, at least dipping their toes in the waters to say, like, what would you give us for him? Like, we don't want to trade him, but like we will shop him for the right price.
All right. So thank you. That's what I'm going to say. You don't shop. You don't trade your 24-year-old freak athlete wide receiver. You don't do it. Athletes. You build a no. Okay. So you trade a guy like DK Metcalf that you were lucky to land that lottery pick, that lottery ticket with the, what was it, last pick or second last pick that you traded up to get him in the end of the second round. You're not going to find a DK Metcalf this year. You're not going to find a DK Metcalf next year. You're not going to do it. You don't trade a 24-year-old blue chip prospect like that. You don't trade your blue chip guys. You don't do it.
Well, then why do you trade Russell Wilson? He's a blue chip guy.
Because he's 33 years old.
Davante Adams.
Because he's 29 years old. You don't trade a 24-year-old freak athlete wide receiver. You don't do that.
You're totally fine with Jamal Adams then.
Trade Tyler Lockett. I'm okay with that. If you want to shop a receiver, right? Trade Tyler Lockett. Trade the 30-year-old wide receiver. Don't trade the 24-year-old. Build around that guy.
Bingo. So Marquise just chimed in. Potential for him is insane. And I'm not questioning that. DK is a freak athlete. He is a blue chip wide receiver. But the draft is producing wideouts like crazy is his comment. And that's where I have to start thinking about, if I do move on from him, then what's the return for a 24-year-old blue chip player who is a top 5, top 8 wide receiver in the NFL? Every single year, we are seeing wide receivers come into the NFL ready, and you can have them for one pick. They might not be DK Metcalf, but they might be. Like, how did people pass up on Justin Jefferson when he was coming out? Like, when you say, like, you're never going to get this guy. Yeah, you do. It happens all the time. AJ Brown in that same draft class fell to the second round as well. DK Metcalf falls to the second round. Like, it's happening more often where wideouts especially is what I'm noticing. You can find them in value positions in the draft. No, you're not getting a DK Metcalf. I totally understand that. I totally understand holding on to blue chip players. I would never build a team around a wide receiver. I would never build a team around a wide receiver. So that's why I could see myself trading DK Metcalf. This is a good debate. I love this talk.
The other thing with like, everyone's like, well, the Seahawks don't want to pay him $30 million a year. It's his second contract. He's not getting $30 million a year. Give him a 3-year deal, $24-25 million a year.
Oh, I don't know, man. Like, when I'm thinking about rebuilding my team, there's not a single wideout in the NFL that I really want to build my team around, because when the Seahawks get their competitive window again, maybe that's 2 years, maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4.
But he's okay. But then he's still in the prime of his career.
But I don't want to build around that. I want the 24-year-old wideout to be on his rookie contract, a la Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, when I'm going to make that big deal. Cooper Kupp is making, next to nothing right now. I don't know. He says, I think Seattle has lost a lot over the years with talent due to contracts and Pete. Emphasis on Pete. That's another really interesting part.
Yep. And Pete still has his USC mentality of like, I mean, I'm pretty sure he brought it up in the press conference after the Russell Wilson trade was official of like, back in college, it was like we were rotating guys in all the time. Like that's how we got a Mark Sanchez, a Carson Palmer, was it Bo Levi Mitchell or whatever. Like he was always having new guys and new guys. And like, does Pete and the Seahawks expect this to happen every 4 years? Of like, we're not going to pay guys. We're just going to trade guys and get draft capital for them and just keep bringing guys in on rookie contracts. Like the NFL doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I understand that part of it too. Sooner or later, you actually have to keep people, but I think you keep the people once you're that close, or you trade for them once you're that close. I don't see the Seahawks as being that close at all. Maybe that I guess that's maybe the big difference between that.
But then that, like, that's not Pete's issue. Then Pete's not going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, why are you trying to trade or potentially going to trade a 24-year-old wide receiver when you're not going to be here in 2 to 3 years if the team's not good enough?
Right. That's why I'm confused by the whole thing. I mean, if it's Pete's move, but Pete's not going to be there unless Pete's like, I'm coaching till 80. Like,
yeah, but it's on his choice. If Jody Allen decides to fire him, right? Like so that's the thing is like this trade that the Seahawks made by trading Russell Wilson, this has put a window on Pete Carroll and John Schneider's tenure with the Seahawks. If in a year from now, or even potentially 2 years from now, the Seahawks are not competitive and they're not good enough, these guys are going to lose their job because of that Russell Wilson trade. And I just think they're compounding the issue by treating the guy like DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate there, what if they're actually buying themselves more time by saying, hey, look, we traded our Pro Bowl All-Pro quarterback to start this rebuild. You need to give us 3-4 years to show you what we can do with this rebuild. I don't know if that's how it's going to work. I don't know if that's how it's going to work. I'm just saying, could that be the angle they went on? Because you bring up a really good point here, Chris. When people's jobs are on the line, everything goes out the window. I've talked so much trade team building with people, and the moves that you think make logical sense or could make sense for your team development sometimes don't happen because some coach, some GM is looking at that saying, hell no. Like, I am not trading Russell Wilson, because if I trade Russell Wilson, I'm going to lose football games and I'm going to lose my job. So I don't want to trade Russell Wilson. It's the human element. It's such an interesting part of team building. And when you talk about like, what would you do? Well, if you were the GM, you probably wouldn't. I know for a fact, it's very easy for me as an armchair GM right here to say, oh, look at the return you get on DK Metcalf. And then I'm a GM in the NFL and I'm like, oh, damn, if I trade him and Russell Wilson, like, I'm probably going to lose my job.
Yeah.
Even if I think that's like what would help spark the rebuild.
So two things on my kind of last 2 points on that. Sure, Pete and John could have gone to Jody Allen and said, hey, look, we're going to trade Russell Wilson. You need to give us time to see this vision out. And here's our plan. Here's what we're going to do. But money talks.
Yeah.
And if all of a sudden ticket sales are down, jersey sales are down, the Seahawks are not bringing in as much money and they're not bringing in, not having as many wins per season. Well, that's going to be cause for guys to lose their jobs.
Yeah.
My other point is, if you're going to bring in a quarterback like Drew Lock or Baker Mayfield, or even draft one of these rookie quarterbacks either this year or next year, would you not want to have a stud number one wide receiver that you can, let's throw it back to Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson. Would you not want to have a guy that your quarterback can throw the ball up to and he's going to go get that ball, right? that's my biggest point as to why you don't trade DK Metcalf. Because if you're truly in a rebuild, you're going to want a wide receiver like DK Metcalf. And the cap is going up huge next year because of this new TV contract and the gambling contracts and this and that. And it just, sure, it might hurt for this year, but it's just this year. Next year, when the cap jumps exponentially, you're not going to feel that wide receiver contract that you just gave to DK Metcalf. And it's going to pay off, in my opinion, tenfold to keep a guy like that in-house. Like I said, that's kind of my last kind of two pieces on it. I think when you have a young quarterback, you want a wide receiver like DK Metcalf in-house that they can grow together.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'm just gonna highlight Marquise's last comment here because this is a really interesting one because we did see this in New England. It said much like Bill and Robert Kraft. Imagine Russ goes obviously to Denver and wins a Super Bowl this year. Kraft put pressure on Bill last year to make moves in free agency because they let the guy go, and the guy went and won a championship.
Yep.
So I could see the exact same thing happening there. My team, I don't really have to talk about guys getting traded that much. I don't think, anyways. Not that I know about. Ravens made some moves, some headway. So this is my second year on Twitter, or second free agency through Twitter. And just like last year, it is so funny to watch the Ravens fans. Every damn free agent, big name that comes up, it's like, oh, he's coming to Baltimore. And then when he doesn't, it's like, Eric DeCosta, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? Like, we're like 16 hours into free agency and we haven't made a move. Like, are you even working? Are you on holiday? Like, they're just losing their damn minds. And I'm like, okay, guys, first of all, we know this is how he works. You pay in the first day, you overpay. Usually those contracts don't look that nice. So, I'm sitting back chilling. I'm like, first day, whatever. I just want to see the chaos along with everybody else. But every year he's done something where he brings in a high profile guy or like good value moves. And the big one that kickstarted the whole thing was they signed former New Orleans Saints free safety Marcus Williams to a 5-year, $70 million contract. I absolutely love this move. Absolutely love that the Ravens, they put such a premium on the safety position. And I know there's a lot of teams in the NFL that don't put a premium on that safety position. But the Ravens are one of those teams that definitely do put a premium on the safety position. They've shown it in the past too. This is not the first time the Ravens have made a splash, kind of bring in the big free agent safety. They did it back with Eric Weddle. They brought him in. They took a stab at Earl Thomas. That ended up not working out in their favor. But bringing in Marcus Williams, I think, is a great pick. I think it's a great value even. Like you had just mentioned, Chris, the cap is going up. So 5 years, $70 million, you're paying your free safety a lot of money. But that's the big thing. If your franchise values a position, like we know the Ravens do, they've had Ed Reed, the other guys that I just mentioned, Eric Weddle, bringing in Earl Thomas, they clearly put a premium on the free safety position and they're willing to pay it. And that's okay. I love it. I love the fact that we're getting another ball hawking safety in the back end that we haven't had in a little while. Marquise just said here, they went younger for once. It's a good point. Weddle and Earl Thomas are great. They just were kind of on the back nine of their career. The Ravens were trying to do the Raven thing where they bring in a Steve Smith Sr. and they try to get those last few years out of them like they did with Anquan Bolden. They do that at the safety position as well. But This time they're going out and getting a young guy that, that really solidifies that whole secondary really well. You have Marlon Humphrey coming back from injury. You have Marcus Peters coming back from injury. Chuck Clark is as solid and reliable as they come at strong safety. So they've got their 4 back there, which is super, super exciting for me. I was absolutely thrilled with this pick. I forgot to bring it up, but there was a quote in his press conference with the Ravens. I'm going to paraphrase this one because I know I'm going to get it wrong, but they kind of asked him about what his style is and what he thinks when he's on the back end of a defense. And his thing was, when you throw the ball up, I think that's my ball every single time. And I absolutely love that mentality where if you have a safety, especially a free safety, a ball hawking free safety, you need that guy to be the one that always thinks, I am going to get that ball. The Ravens also struggled with, forcing turnovers last season. So you've got a guy who has the mentality that, like, I think he even said, like, sometimes it comes at the expense of running into my own teammates. But when that ball's in the air, it's mine. I think and I know that ball is mine. And I just love that attitude. I love that attitude on the back end. You pair that with a Marcus Peters, you pair that with a Marlon Humphrey, and I think you're going to see this defense take a huge turn in causing turnovers where they haven't been more recently. So that was obviously the big splash move. Just as important, they went out and got Morgan Moses, right tackle. I think there's a crazy stat, like Morgan Moses has played every game for the last 8 years or something like that. Which on a team that got hampered by injuries, that is music to my damn ears that you have a guy who does not get injured much.
Sorry, where did they bring him in from?
I think he was playing with the Jets.
Okay.
I don't quote me on. Yeah, he was playing with the Jets. Right?
Also, I like how you kept mentioning that Marcus Williams is a ball hawk. I think we should probably try to get him on the show.
Yeah. I mean,
we are the Ball Hawks podcast.
It would be smart of him to do that, right?
It would be smart. For branding, it just makes sense.
It does. But maybe we'll even get some like t-shirts and we can offer him like a free t-shirt or something to come on.
Yeah, like the Ball Hawk or something like that.
Yeah, the Ball Hawk. I mean, I'd have to give that one to Ed Reed first, but he can get like Ball Hawk Jr. or something. I don't know.
Okay, well, we just lost Marcus Williams coming on the show because of that comment.
I mean, to be the man, you got to beat the man. So Ed Reed.
I do want to add one of the kind of funnier things of after he got signed by the Ravens, of course, was everyone sharing the picture of him getting burned by Stephon Diggs.
Of course.
In the Minneapolis Miracle, which yes. I know it's on your response where it's like, this is literally one play in this guy's entire career. But that's the thing with when guys get posterized, right? It's it makes them immortal, right?
And the thing that I love about that too is in the press conference he did, his introductory press conference with the Ravens, he was actually asked about that, and he's like, I think it shows a bit about my character that I was put on national TV of giving up the play, for the Minneapolis Miracle, and I still think that every time that ball is in the air, that it's mine. That like it does not waver my confidence whatsoever. And like you gotta love players who, all right, I'm gonna get beat sometimes. You don't want it to be the one that, like you said, gets posterized and is famous for it. But it does go to show who he is as a player to be able to shrug that off and have a short memory with it. Yeah, Marquise is saying he was a rookie when that happened. The moment was just too big for him. And we're also forgetting that Stephon Diggs made a ridiculous play that he should not have made either. So good for Marcus Williams for doing that.
And you and Marquise with the, Homer Award of the year. Just going to stick up for my guy. It's, hey, like Will Smith did with Jada tonight. Just got to stick up for your guy.
I mean, I'm not going to go find someone on Twitter and like bitch slap them, but
and
we'll stand up for my guy.
Marquise just said confidence is key. You live and die with it. Marcus Peters the same way, and that's absolutely 100% correct. In order to play defensive back in the NFL, whether you're cornerback, safety, whatever, you have to be confident to play that position because you are getting burned every single play. Yeah. You are giving up a catch every other play. You guys are going to score touchdowns on you. Like, these things happen, but confidence is key to being a contributor and to being good at that position. You have to be confident in what you can do. The next play, not what happened last play.
Totally. So back to Morgan Moses. The thing I love about this is he slots in right away as their starting right tackle. And I was just saying with the Bengals picking up Collins for $10 million a year as one of their, bookend tackles is a value. Well, they got Morgan Moses for 3 years, $15 million. His cap hit for this year is only $2.58 million. So, an AAV of $5 million a year is as cheap as you are possibly going to find a veteran tackle that can come in and play that right tackle position. I won't get into the Zadarius Smith thing. He chose the Ravens. It was reported he didn't like the contract because, who was it? Von Miller, signed just after that. And he's like, you know what? I definitely don't want that bargain of a contract. So they reworked something. He still didn't like it. They tried to rework it again. And the Ravens were like, yeah, no, sorry. Like, we agreed on that. Sorry, can't do that. And then the other one that they did, they brought back a guy that they had let go, homegrown talent, Michael Pierce. They brought him in on a 3-year, $16.5 million deal. Again, fills another need. And I love when the Ravens do this, because when you can fill your needs in free agency and not kind of bankrupt yourself, then you can go into the draft with best player available mentality. So you are not passing up on, a blue chip player to go, search for your next tackle if the first 4 or 5 tackles go off the board by the time you pick. I think it's important, just if there's a guy there who's the best player there by far, you just pick him. The Ravens did that when they picked J.K. Dobbins in the second round. He was sitting there for him. They didn't really need him. They had other guys there. They had Mark Ingram coming off a Pro Bowl year. They had Gus Edwards. And they were like, well, we don't have other needs that we feel are super glaring, so we're picking J.K. Dobbins. It's going to be their starting running back next year. And then finally, to answer one of Ryan's questions, I guess we're not even going to have a mailbag. We're kind of running out of time.
Well,
where is Bobby Wagner signing? So the big one is he's been rumored to the Ravens. He went on a Ravens visit in typical Baltimore fashion. Jimmy's Famous Seafood tweets out at Bobby Wagner and has a picture of him when he went there last, saying, "We are going to unretire the free crab cakes for life if Bobby Wagner signs with us." So now everybody in Ravens Twitter is tweeting at Bobby daily saying like, "Hey, when are you heading to Baltimore? # come to Baltimore." They've got Lamar recruiting him. They've got Marlon Humphrey recruiting him. Tony Jefferson is recruiting him. They're trying to get him. And normally when it's like, oh, like I said at the start of it, we need this guy and that guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy. This one I actually want. And you know that you're very well aware of Bobby Wagner.
He's pretty good at football.
We've had some conversations about Bobby Wagner. He is ridiculously good. I think he is getting up there in age, but I think he still has 2-3 more productive years.
I was just going to say 2 to 3 more years.
What else do you need? That's the Ravens Super Bowl window right now, is to win in the next 2 to 3 years. Bring that man in to pair with Patrick Queen. Um, the thing the defense was missing probably the most last year was being able to finish tackles, being able to wrap guys up. There's nobody better in the NFL at wrapping up tackles than Bobby Wagner. It
Yeah.
makes too much sense. I saw something on Twitter saying like, "Hey Ray Lewis, can you call Bobby Wagner up and just tell him what it means to play middle linebacker for the Ravens?" kind of thing. You don't need to do that, man. Marquise is he's saying where I was going to go next. The other rumors are that the Rams, Raiders, Broncos, West Coast guys would be where he's also rumored to go because he's been on the West Coast forever. Maybe he doesn't want to come to the East Coast. Um, yeah, he said it lets Queen run wild like Devin White. It would be so fun to watch Bobby Wagner, in the middle of that defense and just letting Patrick Queen do what he would do in LSU, sideline to sideline, causing havoc, using his speed, making plays. I'm all on the hashtag bring Bobby to Baltimore bandwagon. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I personally,
You still think he's going to the Rams, don't you?
I think he's going to the Rams. Personally, hometown, like Marquise just said, he's a West Coast guy. So I think he's going to the Rams. But his biggest thing was, I want to go to a team that's going to win, and it's going to win right now. So winning is very important to him, right? And I mean, sure, the Rams just won the Super Bowl, sure. But do they have, the required pieces to repeat?
Oh my gosh. Aaron Donald was backed up by Bobby Wagner. Jesus.
Right? Like,
or
does it make sense for him to go to a team like the Ravens, who has a quarterback still on his rookie deal? I don't know.
I think both teams are in a win now. Broncos would be a great fit. Raiders, same thing. Like, all of those teams are trying to win right now by their actions and what they have done in the past. So I could see anywhere happening. Just selfishly, man, I love him as a middle linebacker. Like, there's a reason why he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he's first ballot without question.
Yeah.
Hey, who knows? Maybe he'll end up back in Seattle.
Yeah. Maybe.
Dare to dream, Steven. Dare to dream.
We're almost at an hour and a half here, so we were gonna do a mailbag, but we've answered Nate's question. We answered one of Ryan's question. Ryan has two more pieces to his question, and then we'll sign off here. His first one: did Russ start the fire in Denver? Were they letting Russ cook?
Yeah, Russ was cooking, and it got out of hand.
Russ, you can't use the air fryers anymore. Like, it just no.
Who starts a fire with an air fryer?
Russ is a cooker.
Don't let Russ cook.
Don't let Russ. That should be our new hashtag this year. Don't let Russ cook.
Yeah.
Bad news for the AFC. And then I'm going to give you his final question because I don't follow this show. I don't know if you do. What's your favorite Entourage character?
I haven't watched enough Entourage to give an answer to that question. So sorry, Ryan.
Well, if Marquise is still on, maybe Marquise has an answer to this, because I think I watched two or three episodes of Entourage, maybe I don't even know if this is factually correct, maybe 10 years ago. And I thought it sucked and I didn't watch it anymore. And I know that's a ton of people's favorite show and people go crazy for it. I don't know. There's just some shows, everybody goes bananas over and you're like, I don't understand the hype. He also doesn't know the show. So Ryan, you suck.
I actually own a couple seasons of Entourage on DVD, apparently.
No, you don't.
I know for sure, because Nadine and I tried to watch it, and same thing. I was just, it was like The Sopranos, where it's just I didn't quite get into it, but The Sopranos, we got far enough into it that I was like, okay, let's finish it. Entourage, we didn't do that. So let's go with Jeremy Piven's character, Ari Gold. Only because that's the only character name that I know.
Well, that was a very bad way to end the show. We're here for all of that.
Hey, Ryan, ask better questions.
Yeah. I mean, I like the other 2 questions.
Yeah.
Great questions. You just... No one here, no one, even the audience members don't like Entourage. So appreciate you guys coming out. Marquise, huge shout out to you. I know it's getting close to 1 a.m. in the morning. Hopefully you don't have school tomorrow because you've been killing it at school. I've been following your progress. You're killing it, dude. Hopefully this isn't making you late or tired for your school tomorrow. Oh, he's got one question. Good. We don't have to end on a bad question. Where does Honey Badger go, Chris? Where does Tyreek?
Give me the Cowboys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? After they just paid Trayvon Diggs?
Yep. Give me the Cowboys.
You're going to give both of them?
Yeah.
Do they even have to? I mean, the cap is a myth, right? So we don't have to go over it.
Myth.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to leave it at Cowboys. That's a better answer than I would have given. So good for you.
I have nothing to like back that up. I'm just saying Cowboys.
You're just Cowboys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jerry
you know what? I'm going to say the Rams. There you go. I'll say the Rams.
Ugh.
I know. Eric Weddle probably isn't coming back for another season. He got a Super Bowl ring. He does have school.
2:00 tomorrow afternoon. Get that sleep in, Marquise. You earned it. Thanks, buddy.
He'll follow Gilly. Interesting. That's good. Yeah, so Marquise, we appreciate you jumping on the lives there, following along in the chat. We are going to be in contact with you because we got to get you on the show. We've been saying it probably for like a year now. I don't know why we just haven't done it. We'll find a time that works for you because you're down in Florida. Christopher, as always, dude, you get the last words, my dude.
Yeah, guys. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another episode of the Ball Hawks podcast. Can't say it enough. Big shout out to Marquise for staying up late with us on the East Coast out there to tune into us live. Really appreciate all the support, Marquise. I mean, you've been supporting us basically since day one, and we just couldn't thank you enough for that support. Everyone else, we love all of your support as well. Give us a follow on Twitter at ballhawks_pod. Follow me at PhillipsChris12, Steve at SSFisher87. We love talking football with all of you guys. So please, honestly, reach out to us, tweet at us. If you want to come on the show, come on the show. We love talking football. We are a proud part of the Dean Blundell Network, home of many great podcasts, hockey, football, lifestyle, whatever you're looking for. The Dean Blundell Network has it. And as always, guys, go Hawks.